This Bravo Kenya Moore situation, maybe Nene was right. All right, you white motherfuckers, all eyes on me. This is the I Refuse podcast. I'm Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. It's this close, 0 days without nonsense. And here we are on the day after the season finale of Atlanta Housewives. Timeline has been ablaze the past couple of weeks talking about this Kenya Moore, Britt, Edie situation. I'm Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast, right? I have been, I would say, an Atlanta Housewives Day One person. From my perspective, there are three people or three parties responsible. The network, Kenya, and Britt Edie, right? For years, Bravo has benefited financially, professionally, business-wise from the charisma, personality, and antics of their cast. Whether it's Jersey, Orange County, New York, Beverly Hills, all the franchises, right? For Atlanta Housewives, Kenya has built a brand and a name off of being petty and being a tough cookie from Detroit. Gorgeous as all get out. When you look at the history of Atlanta Housewives, I would say, in my personal opinion, the addition of Kenya and the addition of Cynthia impacted the show and in some ways elevated the show beyond just a particular city. You have someone from Hollywood and media, and you have somebody from the modeling world. And prior to that, you pretty much had Nene, who was the anchor of the show. And Nene, in some ways, has benefited and has been impacted by the addition of Cynthia and Kenya. You wanted somebody that wasn't scared or afraid of anybody and held her own every reunion. That was Kenya. You wanted someone who just did not look or act like everybody else from out of Atlanta. You got that from Cynthia. For the better or worse part of the last 14 to 15 seasons, including the seasons that Nene was not on, Nene had built a reputation of isolating and alienating herself from the girls. The moment she started getting Hollywood air, Kenya was that girl, right? Kenya, pretty much from season 5 or 6, for better or worse, was full of antics and stunts and poking the bear, but also feeding everybody their own medicine. And they couldn't take it. For the most part, Nene and Kenya were the ones that made the reunions almost like their own separate episode. Like, whether you watched all season or you didn't, you watched all 3 parts of the reunion because of Kenya and Nene. Come on, let's be honest. So, for Kenya to do what's expected and first get suspended, we were told that before the season even started airing, and then I guess ultimately get fired. Um, it's kind of whack. It's really really whack because as a standalone, you're suspending and firing one of your main girls. In addition, you couple that with the fact that you brought two people back with the peach who have had a history of A, getting physical with other folks in the past on this show and even her spinoff, and another person who really tried to accuse a person of rape and drugging people. Yet they've both been able to slip and slide across different shows and come back. Now, this season, from what I've seen, Portia still isn't in charge of the girls. Shamia's the one to watch. Britt and the other girl, Kelly, I can tell IG from a mile away. So it's not, while we've been wanting for years for Atlanta Housewives to bring in some new blood, there hasn't been a season that in about 4 or 5 years where it's like, oh, this is it. This is it. We were kind of feeling Shamia. Drew had potential. However, I don't know. Like, I think the last season I tried to hang in there with was the one where Drew and her husband at the time, Ralph, and that was just very, very weird. So here you have this season where you literally have a mixed bag. You have another friend of getting a peach, that's Shamia. And we're getting more of Shamia this time. I like Shamia, but I feel like it could potentially be another Marla situation where it's like all your glory years were when you were a friend of, but the people are liking it. But as far as Kelly and Britt, it's, what are they giving? When I went into this season, with, word that Kenya got suspended and then fired from her job, I didn't have the context that I had recently, which was literally 2 or 3 episodes leading into the season finale. Britt was trying Kenya. First of all, I think it's weird when a new girl comes for a longtime main cast member. It's very much giving obsessed fan, single black female, and it's very left field, you know what I mean? And it's not very smart. Like, of all the people you could come at, you want to come at the person that is known to give you what you asked for, and then some. And Kenya makes the show at this point. Portia's had her time in the sun, and Cynthia's just there. She's not married to anybody. What's she doing? Where's the school? What you got going on? But also, one thing that Kenya's never done in the 14 or so seasons she's been on the show is threaten anybody. Yes, her antics has gotten her dragged across the reunion floor by Portia. and it's kind of calmed her down a little bit. But one thing about Kenya, like Heavenly or Married to Medicine, and like some other cast members on other shows, is that Kenya's no more, no less playing the game. And for it to get to this point, everybody that's been clocked in from the beginning or even 5 or 6 seasons ago who know the program with Kenya to then now take the respectability politics. Oh, it's so unprofessional and it's so lame. Why would you wait until your very own event and in the same breath honor your daughter, but also come at this girl after inviting her? That's very, very weird. Sure, it can be perceived as weird. And you want to talk about some professionalness, like she didn't get physical with the girl. She didn't do any harm to this girl. She responded similar in vain. Like Britt literally, and I saw the episode. Britt from a distance was talking about busting caps and all this other stuff from a distance, right? And Kenya heard her. Kenya was paying her dust then. Everybody was on mute. Her handlers, the rest of the cast, even Kelly. But the moment you get a reaction, you get a response, because Kelly stayed for the first couple of poster boards and then just scurried out. You threaten my life on camera, I'm going to expose your past life in front of these same cameras. And then on top of that, Bravo again benefited from all of this. You filmed the entire thing, you blurred out the images, you kept the footage part of the episode, and you waited until the last episode to show it. Like that was your season finale. Until in the interim, you kept Kenya around in the episode. Trust and believe, like these shows, they film to the max. Meaning, they definitely got a lot out of Kenya in the production of the season, right? They just minimized her screen time on the show to precede the big splash. And then for them to preface, due to Kenya's behavior, this has always been Kenya's behavior. So what's special? What's so special? And then I thought about it. This is one of those situations, yet and again, that plays right into the climate that we're in as a society, where we are, or y'all are, because I'm not, are enabling and protecting the pretty girls in favor of the older ladies, the ones you benefited from. In short, the goalpost keeps moving, right? There was no suspension, firing, or repercussions for Britt verbalizing threats on her first season of the show. Couldn't tell you where she was before that. Couldn't tell you her credentials or anything she's accomplished in life that warrants her getting a peach. Pretty much sight unseen. Yet she gets to stay. And then on top of that, Britt continues to do her part on IG. playing right into the timing of the episodes. She posted on IG, she's still here, and then Portia, of course, reacting to the post. I'm like, okay. Portia coming back, what, probably a third or fourth time to the show. And given that you and Kenya have made amends on the show, for you to do that leads me to believe that the shit was fake. But it's very much given like high school and not so much professional environment. You align yourself with the new flashy pretty girls who are loud and just just doing the most with very little. Because again, what is Britt storyline? What is Kelly's storyline? And how many times are you gonna see Dennis and Portia trying to, I guess, circle some beef around Drew? Very, very weird. But then on top of that, I didn't leave Cynthia out. So on the show, you you call Kenya out in front of the cameras, but on Watch What Happens Live, it's a different story. It Nene tried to warn us 10 some years ago. You know, it's one thing to call somebody out, but here's the thing: you stayed around at the event. You claim to be Kenya's friend, yet you didn't have that same energy for Britt when she was threatening your friend's life. And as much as people want to talk about Kenya should be reading the room, I think Britt should be reading the room. Like, this isn't Love and Hip Hop. This isn't the Zeus Network. This isn't Baddies. Natalie Nunn is not around here. This isn't Black Ink New York City. This isn't, you don't see Tommy around here. Like, there's a long list of things that separate the Housewives franchise from other reality shows. Whether it's anything off of WeTV, the Braxtons, all these other shows where these people don't have an allegiance to each other. And they're casted specifically for certain seasons or certain shows because they're known to bring drama. Like Housewives, the franchise, these are like actual people that just happen to be friends with each other if they can manage it. For Cynthia to be like all over the place, it's like, you calling that girl out, you keeping it one sided, yet you're not protecting or backing up your friend when her life is being threatened on camera. And while we're on the subject of Britt, from what I've seen, Britt does come off like a fan of Kenya's, even down to the event. You are starving for a hug, for some attention from this lady after you threatened her on camera. The roses or the flowers and the card, and Kelly right behind Britt, wanting the sentiment to be acknowledged by Kenya. No. Kenya doesn't do fake. And neither does I. Do I. Like Britt should, as newcomers, or even just as a people, Britt and Kelly should be reading the room. And I mean, we could be of different opinions of was it worth it for Kenya to do that. Out of a job, yada, 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 yada. Um, this isn't Kenya's first year. And Kenya has multiple businesses. You would think a person's first year, they would kind of figure stuff out. They would kind of just fall back a little bit. But clearly, Britt and Kelly are pressed. You know, they're not, they don't have that same energy for Portia or Shamia. They definitely want something from Kenya, and Kenya gave it to them. I would have probably done the same thing. Like, you want to come at me this way, I'm going to take it to hell. I think it was worth it because Bravo definitely benefited from it. Bravo definitely knew what they were doing by editing the season in such a way that Kenya is reduced. She's still part of the show, but the way they rolled it out, it was very intentional, and they got their numbers. Even a person that hasn't seen the entire season definitely was clocked in last night. Like, we've come to expect entertainment, and Kenya's really been the only one that's been bringing it. She's not stalking anybody. She's not harassing anybody. She meets people where they are, and she takes it to hell. Wow, looking gorgeous, by the way. I mean, the real discussion should be around Bravo's moving the goalposts and clearly playing favorites again. But it's like, what's next? Like, you got rid of one of your favorites, somebody that's brought your channel and network a lot of revenue and is doing her job. I think this is going to come back to bite Bravo in the ass, because now that King has been fired, what we going to see? Freaking frack again? You know, Phaedra left Married to Medicine, came back to this, is coming back here eventually, I guess, and is going to do what? It'll be interesting to see. I don't know what's going to be next, but it's not just on Kenya. It's on Britt. It's on Bravo. Was it really worth Bravo favoring the new pretty girls who have yet to really prove anything and clearly are a couple of stunt queens? Like, where is the storyline? Where is the character development? Where's the entertainment? This is Fox Star Fuse podcast. This is a whole lot. And it's not that hard. Equal opportunity, two-way street. Brett's responsible. Kenya's responsible, and so is Bravo. Just to be clear. Catch you guys later. Bye. Fendi, like the bag.
This is the I refuse.